welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television with me, Manir Dan Ali. Our program today will feature a former ambassador to the Republic of Sudan. I'm talking about Ambassador Dahiru Suleiman, who has had several other postings before his eventual retirement. And I would like to take him up on the current drama that is dominating the media space in Nigeria. That is the threat by the American President Donald Trump to possibly invade Nigeria after having declared Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which is a term usually that precedes maybe some more dramatic actions against that particular country. Ambassador Dahiru Suleiman, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
You've been here before, so
yes,
we are
many
familiar on a number of these matters.
Yes.
And I would like you to help us understand what is going on. Is it a failure of diplomacy that we have reached this pass now?
Now, I will say yes, there's failure of diplomacy, and also there's failure of leadership. Failure of diplomacy in the sense that the American authorities have not been properly briefed about what is going on in Nigeria.
Briefed by who?
Our diplomats.
Nigerian diplomats
to brief the international community or the countries of their accreditation. And at the same time, I have expected that the United States Embassy in Nigeria, that is very much aware of all the happenings in Nigeria, to tell the American government the truth about what is going on. Whether they did that or not, I wouldn't know. If they didn't, then it is failure of diplomacy. Because if you are posted to a foreign country, your primary responsibility is to monitor, observe everything going on, whether it is politics, economics, cultural, social, whatever, and report to your government.
But sometimes maybe your bosses at the home government may overrule you in this situation when you have a President Trump who is so boisterous on his own and may not listen to even the State Department.
In a normal situation, the head of state or president or prime minister is supposed to listen to the person he has designated as ambassador or high commissioner
in a particular
to another country. If he will not listen to the person he accredited to another country, then there's something wrong.
But you know very well that President Trump distrusts the bureaucracy. The State Department would have to filter whatever gets sent from here in Abuja to Washington, and then he gets the briefing. And maybe he may distrust, he may rather want to believe his pastor who has bought the propaganda about this genocide.
You are very right. Donald Trump is a lone ranger. Whatever he decides, he thinks that is how it should be. Other opinions don't count. And that is why some time ago, there were demonstrations all over American cities saying no to kingship. They did not elect a king.
They don't want royalty. They don't want a king. Like
yes,
maybe King Donald Trump, which is what they are
behaving
as if
he is not only the president of the United States, he is behaving as if he is the president of the world. And I, for one, I think the international community have failed in their responsibility to check his excesses.
But can they do so? I mean, with America having all the power that it has, even though a bit challenged by China and all of that, it sees itself as
I agree.
First among
America,
maybe non-equals.
America is a very powerful country. I served in America, so I know it is a powerful country. But it is always said, moderate whatever you do. Simply because you think you are strong or powerful, you start throwing your weight about. This is not the way to do things. And this is not the way to win friends for America.
But Donald Trump has been doing so and getting away with it. Even today, he has said the days of the Venezuelan president are numbered.
Yes, he can say anything because he says things before he thinks. He doesn't think before he says anything. Now, he is challenging, he wants to topple Maduro of Venezuela. He's imposing tariffs on other countries. He is making others feel that he is Alpha and Omega.
And making even his allies and friends uncomfortable, from Canada to the European Union and all the other countries.
No, one thing that is happening, other countries are tolerating him. It's not that they respect him. They are only tolerating him because he has 3 more years to go. After 3 years, he is dead and buried. His history.
But 3 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
Imagine it feels as if he's now been president for maybe more than 3 years, and it's just 1 year.
But if you look at it, within America itself, the courts are challenging him. They are declaring that what he is doing is illegal, is unconstitutional. That is the way to start checking him. And then, like China is doing, China has become so powerful that no country can just toy with it.
So if you come back to the issue before us,
yes,
this country of particular concern, what does it mean? What can it lead to?
Now, we in Nigeria allowed this thing to happen. I don't like getting into religious arguments, but sometimes you have to express your opinion. Some Christian clergymen went to the United States to talk about genocide against Christians.
You are talking about the reverend gentleman from Benue who went and testified before a congressional committee.
The first thing I would say, these people don't even know the meaning of the word genocide. Genocide is a systematic state-sponsored elimination of a particular set of people or particular religion. But this is not what is happening in Nigeria. It's not genocide.
Yes, but we have to deal with the problem because now it has incurred the ire of America or the president of America, one of the most powerful people on earth, and he's already listing what he could do, including, he's saying, he's asked the Secretary of War to prepare for war against Nigeria.
Yes.
So shouldn't Nigerians be worried?
Now, you are telling your Secretary of War to prepare for war in Nigeria. If you invade Nigeria, is it the whole of Nigeria you are invading, or you are restricting yourself to Benue and Plateau? Because these are the two states in Nigeria where the problem is.
But do you think it is real? Is it shakara, as we say in Nigeria, a show off? This thing about asking the Secretary of War to get prepared, and him also tweeting and saying, yeah, we are on it.
No, you see, this is why I say the whole thing is not only ridiculous, it's confusing to anybody who thinks properly. There are more Muslims killed in Nigeria than Christians killed in Nigeria.
Some may argue, because unless you show the statistics,
Muslims
they may say that
killing Muslims.
That may not be the case.
We know this. Now, in Benue and Plateau, killings are taking place, but they are reprisal killings. Muslims will raid, or what they call herders or bandits will raid Christian areas because they want to dispossess them of their farmland, and the native people themselves will attack the Fulani herders and kill them. So
it's a tit for tat in that particular...
It is tit for tat killings.
I've seen the governor of Anambra, former Central Bank Governor Charles Soludo, saying, look, you can't talk about genocide in this case or killings of Christians, because in my state of Anambra, that is his own state, what is happening is Christians that are killing Christians. So, and he said it's the same thing happening in the south. So in Nigeria, maybe there isn't a lot of confusion about what exactly is going on. But it is not Nigeria that matters now. It's not the understanding of Nigerians. It's the understanding of the United States, and especially the man on top of everything, Donald Trump.
Yeah, you see, you are right in your observation. When I started speaking, I said there has been failure of diplomacy and failure of leadership. When the issue started rearing its head in the United States Senate by Ted Cruz, that should have been the right time for the Nigerian Senate to assemble facts and figures, possibly with pictures of devastation in both Northwest, Northeast, and North Central, involving two states, Benue
all the areas
and Plateau,
where there have been
to go
conflicts.
and meet their counterparts in the American Senate and convince them there is no genocide.
I have seen Senator Ali Ndume actually making this argument that there's failure within the Senate, within the National Assembly,
yes,
because they failed to engage their counterparts
in the American Senate. And it has escalated to many senators introducing other elements and getting the American president to make the pronouncements he made. And I also blame the Nigerian government. When this issue started, in my opinion, the federal government should have immediately dispatched a team led by either the Secretary of Government or the Minister of Foreign Affairs, including the Minister of State Foreign Affairs, who is a Christian, to go and engage the State Department, giving them all the facts about what is going on. We are not having religious war in Nigeria.
Very good point there, but I want us to go on a short break and resume the conversation thereafter. Viewers, It is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today, Ambassador Suleiman Dahiru. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. And our guest today is Ambassador Suleiman Dahiru, who is helping us to unpack some of the issues around the current frenzy over Donald Trump's declaration of Nigeria as country of particular concern. You are saying there has been failure of diplomacy, failure of leadership, and our National Assembly hasn't engaged, and you are making the point of what we ought to have done immediately the matter first reared its head.
Yeah.
So what is to be done now that we are caught up in the mess and there is all the frenzy, all the concern that maybe the U.S. troops could soon be landing somewhere in Nigeria? I doubt that, because Americans don't like sending their troops anywhere.
You see, the fire has been lit and it is burning. What you need to do is to quench the fire.
And how do you do that?
And how do you quench the fire? You quench the fire by doing what you ought to have done a long time ago, which you didn't do.
Which is what?
That is, you engage the American government, you engage the American Senate, giving them all the facts about what have been going on in Nigeria. You dispel the issue of genocide. Like I told one newspaper, I wrote in a reply to the question they sent to me. I said, it is ridiculous to me to talk about genocide. If we are talking about genocide, it is what we saw Israel doing in Gaza, killing everybody, no exception.
Bombing everywhere.
But
and all of
Donald Trump never said Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. And even when the United Nations Security Council tried to get a ceasefire, America vetoed it. It means America was happy with the carnage, with the genocide that was going on.
But could it not be the case that maybe because we are also involved here as Nigerians, we don't see the bloodletting that has been going on for all these years, whether in the northeast or northwest, and which people are dying? Blood is being spilled and we are maybe inured to it. We don't feel. Maybe is that the reason why we're all surprised that maybe some people could begin interpreting it in this particular way?
The way I have looked at it, with the exception of the bulletins you get from the army that they have taken out the following terrorists, the following this, you don't hear much, except if you listen to BBC House of Service, like I do every day, where communities will talk about the invasion of their communities, burning down of their houses and properties, killing their husbands, abducting their wives and children. This goes on in the whole of the northeast. It goes in the northwest, but people are not reporting.
And the authorities are not doing enough.
It's only what is happening in North Central that is being blown all over the world.
But shouldn't we worry? Anybody killed, any Nigerian killed, any blood spilled, shouldn't we worry as Nigerians, whether it's in the North Central or anywhere else?
That is the thing. In Islam, it is said, nobody has the right to take the life of another person without due process of the law. So the Muslims that are killing fellow Muslims, they are misguided Muslims.
And then sometimes they also kill people of other faiths, like Christians.
Yes.
And then
that is
because
why
they shout Allahu Akbar,
that is why
they could be perceived to be doing
that
it.
is why I deliberately use the word misguided.
Religion. Yes.
If you are misguided, you kill anybody, whether Muslim or Christian or whoever who worships traditional, yes, in the traditional way. But no genuine Muslim, no serious Muslim will ever take his knife and slaughter a fellow Muslim or slaughter a Christian. That is not what we learned in Islam. And that is why I say those people are misguided. In fact, to me, they are not Muslims.
There are those who say that America may have even contributed to some of the situation we are in, because at a point they refused to sell arms and other military hardware to Nigerian authorities that are busy fighting terrorists in all parts of Nigeria. Do you share that?
No, I don't. I don't share it. You see, it has been said over and over again since Gaddafi was killed and his government toppled. A lot of stockpiles of arms and ammunition found themselves into West Africa and Nigeria in particular. Chad is having its own problem. Niger is having its own problem. Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea are all having problems of insecurity and of bandits killing people. So the arms and ammunition that these people are using, most of them are not from Nigeria. They are from outside.
But America and other Western nations haven't helped Nigeria enough. The point I was making is the US even prevented some arms purchases because they feel Nigeria is not close enough to them. So do you think the US, yes, in a way may have contributed because it withheld certain arms, like the Super Tucanos, those planes? It took a long time and negotiations before they approved themselves.
You see, this is part of the politics of the world that we have. Nigeria had it very rough. It took a very long time before the Super Tucano you spoke about were authorized to be sold to Nigeria. And you know, even if you authorize, it takes time to manufacture them. So the international community shares vicarious responsibility in what is going on in Nigeria. If they had come to the aid of Nigeria at the right time, we may not be talking about what we are talking now. It would have been history. The armed forces would have cleared Boko Haram, but now it's not only Boko Haram, we are getting other splinter groups springing up.
So back to the issue that you raised, the failure of diplomacy.
Yes.
How did the fact that Nigeria for the last 2.5 years has had no ambassadors, no senior diplomats anywhere in the world, except maybe for a few months when the ones in the UN were still there, but they have since all come back to Nigeria. Did that low-level diplomacy of Nigeria contribute to the situation where America could misunderstand us?
Yes, it is a fact. When you have an ambassador fully accredited, he can book appointment to see anybody in the receiving authority. But if you don't have an ambassador, you only have a charge d'affaires. A charge d'affaires is not ambassador. There's a limit to where he can go. I give you an example. I served in Brazil. When I was in Brazil, if you call the foreign ministry, you want to talk to somebody, the first thing they will do is to ask you, what is your grade? What is your rank?
Because diplomacy is very hierarchical.
It's very hierarchical. You cannot make a call to talk to somebody senior to you. Water finds its own level.
So how do we deal with the problem, since this particular government doesn't seem to consider having diplomats as important? Because look at the length of time it has taken. Is one excuse or the other? Maybe no money, maybe they are looking at the list, and then now we are landed with this kind of
It complicates things, because there is nobody now in the embassy of Nigeria in Washington that can go to the State Department and see even the head of the section dealing with Nigeria.
So does this require a special envoy, somebody senior enough to go now and quench this current fire?
That is why I said a delegation from Nigeria led by the secretary to the government, who is a Christian, with Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is a Muslim, with a Minister of State, who is a Christian. Let them go and engage the American government, explaining everything that is going on. And then the Senate, even if it is belatedly, let them compose a delegation of senators to go and engage with American senators that this has happened. We are here to find a solution. It has happened. Let's solve the problem. We are here to explain to you all the facts that there is no genocide against Christians in particular.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Suleiman Dahiru, for coming onto the program. I'm afraid we are just run out of time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.